Alrighty, so firstly, what is the Stairway ecosystem? Fundamentally, it's an ecosystem that lets people with idle cash get 8% per annum, and professional investors that know how to beat 8% use that cash to provide that return and make whatever they can make beyond 8%. So we take two halves of the coin, professional investors and idle capital, bring them together, and by doing so, the knowledge that is in the hands of the professional investors filters down to the people that don't have that knowledge. So it's all about learning and growing together. If you come to the website through advertising, and if this is the first thing you see, then the next thing you want to do is create an account. So let's go through that process. To create an account online, you need to be an accredited investor. And that does not mean you've passed any exams. It means you satisfy certain income and asset thresholds. Either as an individual, you've earned at least $200,000 a year for the last 2 years, or as a couple, at least $300,000 a year for the last 2 years. And in both cases, with a reasonable expectation of earning the same in the future. So that's an income test. The other one is an assets test. If you have at least $1 million in net assets, excluding your primary residence. If you meet any of those definitions, you are an accredited investor. And in the US, when you are, you can access a wide range of investments that non-accredited investments cannot. One of those is a Stairway account through the front door. By advertising, you always need to be accredited. So this is the starting point. A typical way to show that you're accredited is just to upload a couple of W-2s. You can also upload a letter from your CPA that discloses nothing. There are third-party websites that will do the same. Take your documents and replace it with just an attorney letter that says you are accredited. You can upload asset statements, tax returns, whatever works for you. Typically, for most people, a couple of years of W-2s is the easiest. But there are many options. Those options are allowed here. So you proceed. The next thing after you have demonstrated that you are accredited is to choose a manager. And you'll see that there's really no minimum. The minimum to open an account is $1. There are 3 different managers that will let you open an account for a single $1. I'm going to open an account with myself. The simple reason that I then control that and I can show you the ecosystem all the way through. So you would proceed after you've chosen a manager. The terms and conditions for an account are deliberately short. These are all of them, 10 clauses. In summary, it's an account, pays 8% per annum, no fees, unlimited transactions, interest is credited daily. You get a monthly statement, annual statement, a 1099 int at the end of each year, and that's it. It's an account. So there is a full document, and let's just take a look at that. So what is this? When you wish to run a managed fund, you can't just create a website and do so. There is a legal process. You have to create a document, in this case, a private placement memorandum. You have to satisfy certain legal hurdles, and those legal hurdles basically boil down to putting a lot of words in a document appropriately formed to allow people to see that you have set this thing up legally. So this is a 37-page document. Buried in this 37-page document are those same 10 terms and conditions. And it's only these 10 terms and conditions that govern the manager-client relationship, an account, asset-backed, personally guaranteed by the manager's worldwide assets. And that's a very important point. It has to be worldwide without exception, because otherwise a manager, if they had any protected bucket, could move assets into that protected bucket and the ecosystem wouldn't work. So the personal worldwide guarantee is a very important part of the ecosystem. So just these terms govern the client-manager relationship. The rest is everything that is required to be said to be allowed to run a managed fund in the first place. And as you can see, there's an awful lot that needs to be said and set up to do so. So if you wish, you can read through that in detail. One, you have got to the point that you are comfortable with those statements, these core 10 terms and conditions, and the document as a whole. You accept them, you proceed. You can then create an account as an individual, a couple, as an entity. You don't have to choose any one and stick with it forever. It can be changed later. I'll focus just on an individual account. So I'm going to create a John Smith account. Apparently John Smith lives in California, is over 100 years old, and has a very rare and unusual social security number. But you put your details in. These are the regular details you need to open any account and receive appropriate tax documentation. These details are the minimum that need to be asked to run the business. So we keep it as lightweight as we can, but it can't be made less lightweight than that. And that's all, right? Those documents are then submitted, and what happens then is a manager will go through and review them. So if I go to signups, here I'll see there's a John Smith. So as a manager, John Smith has tried to create an account with me. I click on them. I go and review their documents, make sure that they're in order. If they're not, I would either reject or request more info. If they are in order, then I open an account.
Question, last thing.
Please.
I have a couple ones. So if it's a couple account, do they both need to submit? Do they both need to be accredited?
So as a couple, you're accredited if the couple in total has earned at least $300,000 a year with a reasonable expectation.
So last time it's like this, right? A couple, but then I only got the husband's W-2, but only if one exceed, then the family exceed, right? So it should still
precisely, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, one member of the couple can earn $0, the other can earn over the threshold, which is $300,000, and then they're accredited. The key thing is, you know, if they want a couple account and one person earns 0, the other has to earn at least 300, not 200.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. If one member only earns over 200, then you would have to recommend that they get an individual account. Another question, go ahead. As I said, if you have questions, just shout them out.
Are these accreditation limits ever increased, or they're like 300 and a million forever?
Yeah, you could imagine that at some point they will increase. They have been stable for a very long time, like a couple of decades stable. So certainly with inflation at some point in time, you would expect that they would change. No one knows when that will happen. But for the moment, those are the numbers. Good question. Any others?
Yeah, Austin, I have a question.
Go.
You used the phrase "in order to get a Stairway account through the front door."
That's right.
Ensuing comments. And I think that was hinging on how the person discovers the fund. So if I approach a family member who isn't accredited, can they make an account?
That's right. So because you have the ability to create an account for people you know, they don't have to be accredited.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
And that's the key point. If through advertising, the business acquires a client, that client must be accredited. If someone comes to the ecosystem through someone else and that someone else has a personal relationship with them, they don't need to be accredited. That's how things work.
Okay.
Those are the rules. So yes, if you are listening to this in the future and you are not accredited, go find someone who already has an account, form a personal relationship with them, and then you can get an account. So let's see what John Smith now gets. If I go back to my inbox, if I go here, if I go to here, I've already, as a manager, received my email to say, hey, John Smith wants an account. I've already approved it. And then John got this information to say that they can now log in. So they would go to the website and they would put in their account number and their temporary password and log in. First, you change your temporary password. Next, you set up multi-factor authentication. You can do it by an app or by SMS. Either works fine. And then the last step is to initiate the deposit you said you wanted to when you opened an account. In this case, I will of course not put in real time real bank account details. This would, of course, cause failure of the deposit, and the manager would need to get in touch with the client. But for obvious reasons, this is what we're going to do today. And those details would be sent to the ecosystem, and they would get processed. And like I said, if there was any issue with it, ultimately I would get involved and sort out that issue. But that deposit would be in progress. And as you can see, you have a clean account where you can deposit money, withdraw, get your monthly statements, and a couple more things that are new. So firstly, a Stairway account lets you create accounts for people you know. And we always say that everyone should do this. If you have kids, even if they're very, very young, a child can earn $1,350 a year passively, tax-free. So children are especially appropriate, your own children, to have accounts that you manage that get you started talking about investing from an early age, because these are skills that are not taught in school. They're kind of really critical to life. Have those conversations, make it part of normal conversation at home. So become a fundraiser. And then you click on another set of terms and conditions, and you might see a theme in here. I don't like long contracts. I don't know why they're even binding, because if you don't understand what you're agreeing to, how can you be bound by it? I like short contracts. And the idea is to keep it simple. You're going to open accounts for other people. That means you have to have your own account. You're going to run effectively a fractional reserve bank. So there is a minimum fractional reserve. That's this clause. If you don't maintain that fractional reserve responsibly, your account will get overdrawn. There is a penalty for doing that, so don't do that. And the remaining two are what happens if you don't fix your overdrawn account, and finally what happens if you wish to wind up your fundraiser operation and stop doing it. So that's it. 5 clauses. You've read it, you accept it, boom. You have now the ability to open accounts for the people you know and love. So let's see what that looks like. You'll get another email. You have a new account. You go to the Stairway website and you log in to your new account, your fundraiser account. It will look very similar on the way in. Change your password. Set up multi-factor authentication. Get a code. Then if you wish to have your clients able to book time on your calendar, you would put a calendar link. So just to be clear, you can create one easily. You want to create an appointment schedule, and that would then talk you through, right? You can choose days and times when you're available. It's quite easy to do. Here is a link that I created earlier. It's the one I use all the time. So I put that there. If you do not want people to put time on a calendar, just put any valid URL here, right? Start with https://a.com. Doesn't matter. Anything that looks like a URL will get past this form if you do not wish to have people book time on your calendar. When you are starting out, your legal fund name is your name, because it's all in your own name in the beginning. Later down the track, after you've done a bunch of learning and testing, we can get you set up with a fully legal managed fund, its own LLC, set up in Delaware, appropriate operating agreement, a whole bunch of other things. But in the beginning, you do everything personally. So you use your personal name. Alrighty. And now you have the ability to create accounts for others. So for example, if John had a partner, Jane, they would go here and they could create a Jane Smith account. They could put Jane's email there. I'm going to put my email again, because then you'll see the welcome email. Agreed initial deposit. It can be anything. If you want to keep it lightweight and non-committal, put $1. It's fine. Just let people see the account and create it for them. So it's really, really easy. And now John has a client. Jane has an account, and Jane will get an email just like every other one. with a new account number, a new password. You log in, change the password, set up multi-factor, you finish your bank account details, get the initial deposit going, and you're done. So that's one way to add people to the ecosystem. People that you know and love, just ask them, would you like an account? Pays 8% per annum. You'll get coupled with professional investors that know how to beat 8% per annum, and you can learn how to do what they do, all the way up to fund management if you're interested, or just learn what you're interested in learning if you don't want to go all the way. That's the ecosystem. And the goal is to introduce people to it because it's a powerful way to learn investing. It's the right way to learn investing. I've been to my share of very expensive guru-led one-day, one-week events. That is not the way to learn investing. I've been there, done that. You will get all hyped up, you go home and you do nothing. The only way to really learn investing is you see the deals in progress over a period of months, over a period of years. It takes time. You know, we show people what it really means to do due diligence on properties. It takes, for a multifamily apartment building, around a month. You know, we started this one May 22. It's now nearly a month later, and we still have not signed off and said, yep, we're all done. We will in the next couple of days, because it seems that we're out of questions, and so we are good. But this is what it really means to invest. Every deal, very careful due diligence, very carefully selected. And this is how you get to the point where you can consider yourself a professional investor and consistently beat 8% and be able to handle money raised within the Stairway ecosystem to further your own growth and help the next generation of people learn how to do what you now know how to do. Any questions about that general overview of what everything's for? All right, there is another feature in the account. So this is John's account, the personal one that we created, and we already set them up to have their own fundraiser account. So you notice that that button is now gone. You only do it once. Once it's created, you're done. For people that, for whatever reason, maybe they're at a later stage of life and they just really do not want to be managing other people's money, right? Some people just, that's not what they want. They do not want to do that. But they'd still like to invite people into the ecosystem. Well, you now can. So you can now refer a friend, all right, and get paid. So for every person you introduce to the ecosystem that you do not wish to be a client of yours, you can send a personal message, and then they will get an email. So now we're going to go and give a referral to Bob Smith. Still my email address so you can see it. Send an invitation. All right, so Bob has now been invited to create an account. And if they accept that, so this is what you can do for people that would not want to be your own client. You don't want them to be your own client, but you'd love to introduce them to the tools anyway. They can go and accept it. They can go and create an account, and it looks just like anyone else. They will need to be accredited if you do this. So if you refer someone, they have to go through the front door. They have to be accredited. If you create an account for someone and you have a personal relationship with them, they do not. So there are some cases where you are really doing someone a favor if you make them your client, because they cannot be part of the ecosystem any other way. But if you know accredited people, go ahead. Question?
Yeah, who pays for the $100?
I do.
And what if, you know, people start scamming and create accounts for?
Bring it on. I'll change the ecosystem if it happens. Keep in mind, this is a documented accredited investor. So they have to submit evidence that they are indeed an accredited investor. They have to choose a manager, right? So this is what a referral needs to do to earn you your $100, right? They have to agree to all of this. So it's not a zero amount of work. They have to submit their details. So this was Bob Smith, which I'll do in the correct way. I'm going to keep using my own email address. I'm still going to be over 100 years old because it's quicker. Under normal circumstances, they have to provide their social security number, and this is a verifiable thing. So it's a lot of work. It's lightweight, but it's, you know, it's quite a lot to do before they get their account.
And do you do the SSNVS, the verification service, to make sure that the Social Security number is the right one?
At tax time, yeah. Not necessarily initially. Some people will provide an all zero SSN, to be honest, in the beginning, and then later we get the SSN through other means. Some people don't want to use online services to record their SSN, so we respect that. So we allow a bit of flexibility in terms of how that's delivered. Yes, but by tax time, when we're creating documents, we verify things.
And do you require the first deposit to pay the $100, or
They have to log in? Yeah, so that's a good question. So firstly, what needs to happen, right? Firstly, the account has to be approved. So merely submitting those documents is not enough. I have to verify that they really are accredited, verify that the account's in order. If they've submitted an all zeros social security number, I need to verify that they do actually have documentation and are willing to provide it. So there's a process, but if I approve of the account and open it, then Bob will get their welcome email. So Bob's got their welcome email. And they will need to log in, and part of logging in involves not just changing the password and setting up multi-factor, but getting the initial deposit going, which could be $1. To be clear, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it does have to be done. And so for an accredited investor that has shared their social, shared their address, their phone number, shared their bank account details, and initiated deposit, absolutely I'm prepared to pay $100 for that. It's worth it.
Yeah, but you may have a minimum deposit. So
well, the minimum deposit's $1.
no, but don't you have like a threshold in your case, like 250,000? You don't accept anyone below that?
No, the minimum to create a Stairway account is $1. So that is the minimum. So I will pay $100 for any accredited investor that's willing to create an account and deposit at least one. Why would I do that? Because these are individuals that earn at least 200,000, maybe 300,000 as a couple, and have maybe $1 million in assets. It's worth it. I know that once someone gets started using an account, they're going to be happy, and so it's worth it.
Maybe I lost track, because I thought you had like a limit of 100 accounts, and because of that, you raised your minimum deposit limit.
For me,
you,
if you want to open an account with me, yes.
Yes, okay.
But the way we get around that is there are now multiple managers. So there are 3 more managers that have their full legals. They do not yet have 100 clients each. And so you can create an account with any of those 3 managers with a single dollar.
Got it.
Yeah, good question.
And who does the verification? Is it the manager, or do you still do the verification of those documents?
So whoever you sign up with, as mentioned, there are currently 4 managers, myself and 3 more. Whoever you sign up with does the verification of the documents. Yeah. All right. And again, I'm not going to put in real bank account details on a recording, but they would need to. So the person referred would need to, and this initial deposit would need to actually get going. Because what will happen is I will have in my back end transfers, make sure that gets going, of Bob Smith, all right, and I would see, hey, this is not correct, and I would reject it until it's done. Only when it's actually done and I approve it and initiate it, we'll then see what happens with that. You get to an ecosystem. Let's see. Let me get back to John. And what I will now have is a, right. When the transfer has been completed and actually processed, so it's actually credited to their account, because there are multiple levels where it can fail. You can submit the correct bank account details, and there's been no funds in the account, and then the deposit will fail. You can submit details that look correct, but there's an error in the account number and it will fail. You can submit details that are for a brokerage account, something that actually support an ACH collection, and the deposit will fail. So when the deposit finally succeeds, then and only then will the credit actually happen. So if we go back to here, if I go to Bob Smith and if I say, yes, we received those funds, complete, then we go back to here. Let's see, where's Bob? If I logged into Bob's account and saw that it was all finished, what you would find is that the referring person, John Smith, at that point in time, they get their 100. Any questions about that process? So that is how to refer someone that for whatever reason doesn't want to be your client or you don't want them to be your client. You'd love to introduce them to the tools, but you don't want to be their manager.
So Austin,
Yeah.
just to clarify, for now, the $100 is for the referral, right? Not
That's
the referee.
It's for the person making the referral.
Mm.
That's right. So the person that creates the account, it's whatever they choose to deposit. If they wish to get referral bonuses themselves, they would refer their friends.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you pay the person that chose to make the introduction.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
Alrighty. So that was short and sweet. That's the website ecosystem. The other thing to be aware of is there are 2 forums and really one controlling document that contains everything. So this is the document that takes you through a video, which is over 2 hours long, which gives an overview of the ecosystem, why it was created, what it's for, where it's going. Links to the assets forum where you can learn about appropriate assets to invest in, the fundraising forum where you can learn about the mechanics of talking to clients, raising capital, and then also, and very importantly, this spreadsheet. So this is a big part of the ecosystem too, which is where you go to learn step by step how to do it, ticking off tasks. Have you opened your account? Have you deposited? Have you withdrawn? Have you created your fundraiser account? Have you created your first test client? Have you audited your own assets? Part of learning how to manage other people's money is first learn how to manage your own very well. Make sure that you have a good audit in place. This is my one, which you track each month, see what works well, see what doesn't work well, make sure that your dollars are allocated appropriately across your portfolio and are working well for you. So these are the steps that we expect people to go through before you would even begin to go and get your legals and get set up to run an actual managed fund. Another very important part is this column, beating 8%. And I try to make it easy for people to do this. There are 3 general approaches that I recommend because we can then supervise people, help people along that path if they do it. If you're really just getting started in the investing world and you find it even hard to believe that you can consistently beat 8%, then we recommend people go to the Energia website because Energia will accept money from anyone. You do not need to be accredited. You can open an account with them with as little as $100 and you can invest in solar panels and make a 14% return. And they're big and very responsible. You can see they're nearly at the $500 million scale. They've done hundreds of solar projects. I've been investing with them for years. That's where we recommend you start if you don't know. Why would you not just always do that? It is a 3-year lockup. So if you get out earlier than that, they take a 5% haircut. So it's in principle liquid. Typical liquidation time is about 2 weeks. You lose 5%. But hey, even after a year, if you've got 14%, that's not a terrible deal. So it's not instantly liquid. You do lose a little bit when you come out, but the return is strong enough that that's still a very good deal. After 3 years, it's fully liquid. You don't lose the 5% when you exit. And that's their product. They keep it simple. You put money in with them, you're supporting the proliferation of solar. I like them a lot. And that's where we recommend people get started if you don't have a lot of experience in investing and don't have a lot of capital. Because you can test out the whole business just with Energia. Talk to a half dozen friends, raise $100 from each of them, take your $600, put $300 of it in Energia. You are now running a fractional reserve bank. You are learning everything about the infrastructure. The only thing that changes as your list of clients and capital grows is everything gets bigger. But other than that, you're learning the whole business. Next step up Go ahead, question.
So in the case of Energia, the original investment and the interest that you get, the 14%, stay there for 3 years. You can't take the interest out.
So it's not quite that simple. It's a dividend producing asset. So you can certainly take some cash flow out every month. I tend to reinvest my dividends, but you don't have to. So these are cash flowing assets. So that's one option. Two, you do have the right to exit. So you can put in your money, and if you need it back immediately, you can get it back. Within the first 3 years, you will lose 5% of whatever the number is in there. But if you think about it, even after 6 months, if you've earned 7%, you can get out and you still will get your entire principal plus a little bit back. So it's not that locked up.
And do you know if they accept self-directed IRA accounts?
I do not, but it would be a good question to ask them. Okay. So they have IRA here. Let's have a look. So the answer appears to be yes. Yeah. So a good option if you have a self-directed IRA and wish to diversify into solar.
Hey, Austin.
Yeah.
BAM Capital, they have some income fund. I think they also pay 15%, but yeah, a little bit lockdown period. I mean, there's a default investment, right? Something that maybe we can investigate or edit there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying these are the only options. I have my biases. I like solar, right? So it's why one of the reasons I put it there. But yes, absolutely true. Energia is not the only company in the world that offers stable returns around the 14-15% level. Next one up from there. Okay, so you are happy with the process of investing in solar. It's a really simple process to open an account. If you get a little bit more experience and have a bit more capital behind you and are accredited, usually you need all of those three things. You can look into the multifamily. So I like Urban Genesis a lot. Any company that has over a decade of experience building multi-hundred unit apartment buildings and has a track record of around 20% delivered return per annum for investors. Again, they're great people. I like affordable housing. I have my biases. I like renewable energy, affordable housing, anything where I can do well by doing good. I go in that direction, right? And so I certainly highly recommend them. You do need to be accredited to participate in their deals. Their minimums are typically around the $50,000 level. So again, there's a learning process to get to the point when you're managing enough capital that this would even be something you do. And then last but not least, if you go all the way and really raise a lot of capital, you can start doing things like flipping a house on raised capital. But typically you need to have raised a lot of capital. For that, if we just dig into that for a moment, what is a lot? So to provide value to a general contractor, you will notice that this general contractor is one that I'm working with. They are currently working on 5 houses for themselves that I am supporting. You're talking to deploying a lot of capital into these. It's certainly worth it in terms of the return. This is set up so that I make a 40% return in under 6 months, but you have to have reached the stage of education where you are capable of having large amounts of capital ready to go to keep them busy, because that's how you add value to a general contractor. If you can provide capital when they want it, same day, keep their crew busy, keep them building, you're providing something that they want. And then they can get into projects where they can buy a house, renovate the house, double the money, and paying you a 40% return is massively in their benefit. They're very, very happy. That's the premise of those deals, but that's only for people that have reached a stage where they're raising a lot of capital. For that, you don't need to be accredited, but you do need to be good at raising capital. Any questions about that? Because that is the entire ecosystem. We couple liquid capital, give it an 8% return, with professional investors that know how to handsomely beat it and make sure the knowledge in those heads that know how to invest well get disseminated to everyone through the forums, asset forums, and fundraiser forum. Go ahead, question.
Can you say something about tax reporting, like year-end tax reporting for clients?
Sure. So every client gets a 1099 in at the end of the year. It's interest. It's an interest-bearing account. So very, very simple reporting. As a fundraiser, so anyone that has clients, you're going to have a list of clients where you get a full report every year, an annual report of how much interest you have paid to your clients. And that is all you need to use as a fundraiser. That becomes your interest deduction. So clients get paid interest, that's your deduction. Your own Stairway account, that's interest income, that you get a 1099 in for. Any other questions? If not,
And do you have, if you have clients, do you have to issue the 1099s for them?
so if you have an account, everything is taken care of for you. The transactions, the monthly statements, the annual statements, the 1099, it's all done for you. You don't have to do anything, right? You don't need to check their details, their SSN, anything. That's done for you. Your only job is to talk to people and say, here's a bunch of tools. Would you like them too? That's it. All right. So you don't need to think about your job as fundraising. You do not ever need to ask someone, how much money do you have? How much are you willing to trust me with? You don't need to go there at all. You just say, look, here's an account, pays 8% per annum, unlimited transactions, personally guaranteed. Here are all the assets. Does that appeal to you? If it does, boom, create an account for them. Would you like to learn how to do that for your own friends and family? Well, just click a button in your account. You can do it. Okay? Maybe send them in the direction of this video, watch it. They're educated. They can get going. So it's all about sharing tools, possibilities, knowledge. And by doing that, little by little, you also build up your capital raising operation. Any other questions?
So Austin, that's the question about beneficiary.
Sure. So if you want a beneficiary for the account, you would contact your manager, share the appropriate documents. It can be different for different people. In my case, I just have a folder for every client, and any unusual documents, I store it there. So for example, if someone wants to convert their account into a trust account, I have a folder for every client. The trust documents go there. It documents the conversion of the account to a trust account. Beneficiary is same. So anything a little unusual, there's a client folder, those documents can be provided and that can be arranged.
Can you add to the website?
So at the moment,
see an update?
Yeah, if you are looking to do that for your own clients, so you have your full legals, my recommendation is create a folder for each client that has unusual documents and store them there. Could it be done on the website? Of course, but you always have to balance flexibility and functionality. Right? And at the moment, in my opinion, a folder is sufficient. Anyone else? All right.
I actually had a question about something from before.
Go ahead.
Okay, so suppose I'm an account manager and I want to open an account for my daughter who is not accredited.
Yeah.
Do I just not upload documents and everything's fine? And
remember when I created the John Smith account, it was just name, email, initial deposit. That's all you need to do to create an account. So when you create an account for someone you already know, that's it. You do not need to prove accredited status because there's someone you already know.
But Austin, for me, I still have to sign a 506B, right?
So for your own kids?
Mm-hmm. No?
Right. No.
Oh.
Every parent is allowed to have a financial interaction with their children. In fact, anyone is allowed to have a financial interaction with any person. The only issue as to why do you need legal documents at all is when you run a large business that does this all the time, advertises, there's a legal process. But you are absolutely within your rights to create contracts and borrowings between people you know. You can certainly do that with your own kids. There's no massive legal barrier to do that. Parents lend their money to get their kids' money to buy a house all the time. It's a completely normal thing to do and vice versa. There's no barrier to do that with people you know. The only barrier is when you start doing it as a business at scale, and then you have to get your legal set up. Yeah.
Okay. And Austin, then just to clarify, if I create for a friend who is not accredited,
yeah,
but is my friend, he or she needs to sign 506B, right?
Yes, particularly in your case, because you have the legal documents, you should do that.
And the friends' kids also need 506B?
You could definitely do that. Yeah, in your case, you have the power to do that. Most people do not have those legal documents. In that case, you don't need to. You just are testing the ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those that don't have legal documents, just to recap, there are two documents, a Regulation D 506C that allows you to advertise anywhere, but get only accredited investors. So it's a right that you can get by paying money and putting legal documents in place. There's another one, same words, Regulation D 506B. So the C is for accredited, the B is private relationships. So there you can work with anyone you have an existing relationship with, and up to 35 of the people you work with in the fund can be unaccredited. So it gives you the right to do both. If you don't have either of those things, then you're working entirely in the field of personal relationships, right? Only talk to people you already know. These are personal contracts between you and the party, and it's only when you get to a point where you say, I think I'm running a business now, then you got to get your legals. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, very practical mechanical question. So I'm sitting here with my daughter and I'm trying to make an account for her.
Great.
It won't let me do it without uploading documents, so I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, you're going through the front door. So if you go through the front door, you have to be accredited. Log into your fundraiser account.
Yep, already did.
All right. And then it should say open new account. A little green button in your fundraiser account.
Interesting. Okay. I'll ask you about this later because I'm not seeing it.
Okay. If you are in your client account, so there's a client account that has a number, a 6-digit number, you log in with that. Does your client account have a button, become a fundraiser?
No, because I already did that.
Right. So you log out. And then you log into the website using your fundraiser account.
I see.
Do you remember your fundraiser login?
Yeah.
Okay. Because one account stores money and the other account lets you create accounts for other people.
I see.
Okay. But yeah, it's a good thing to finish the video with. So let's do this. Let me know when you've logged in.
Yep, just a second. Okay. Let's get rid of that.
How old is your daughter now?
She just turned 2.
She's starting early.
Yeah.
Good job.
So for some reason I can't log in, but it's probably my fault. Okay.
Which screen did you get to? Did it accept your password or you?
No, it's not accepting my password, which is weird because I just copy pasted it. But
you may have changed it, but there's a forgot password button.
Black one.
Yeah.
Green one. Blue one.
Click the forgot password. It will email you a temporary one. It'll get you back in.
Yep.
It's all good. These are all parts of using the ecosystem for real. So good to go through this.
And everyone use a password manager.
So,
I see.
Go ahead, Pierre.
the ACH withdrawal, is that still a manual work or is that any integration?
Again, if you are a fundraiser, you don't do any work. So if someone withdraws money, it's all done for you.
Okay.
Let's see.
Literally, your only job is talk to people, say, here are a bunch of tools. You want to access to them, I can grant you access to them. Here you go. You choose whether you want to make them a client and you manage the money, or you don't want them a client and you refer them. Like, no, they have to be accredited. It's your choice.
Yes. Beautiful.
How'd you go down? You get your replacement
Yeah,
password?
I figured out what I did wrong. I made the account, but I never actually logged into it, so I didn't have it set up properly.
I see. Well, having been part of this, you'll see calendar link, your name, and then you'll be in. Sounds like you actually never logged into it.
Yeah.
If anyone else has questions in the meantime, let
Yeah.
them out. Otherwise, we'll make this our last item for the recording and call it a good day.
Yeah, don't wait. Don't wait for me.
No. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Austin, for this forum. I'm going to review the entire video later and
Sure.
share with my husband and talk about whether I should come in as individual or we should do it as a couple.
Sounds
But
good.
thank you so much.
You are welcome. Great to have you on the call. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Austin. Always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
no worries. So did you get it set up? I'd love to just finish it up.
Well, I'm at the point where it's asking for the fund name, and I thought, oh God,
It's your
I
name. No, it's
hadn't
your
thought
name.
about that. so-
It has to be your name.
Oh, really? Oh, because it's a personal one.
That's right. You don't have your legals. It has to be your name.
In the meeting,
Be
link just
more
has to be-
technical, it has to be the same name as your account. So if it was a couple, it would be the couple name. If it was an LLC account, it would be the LLC name. But since it's your account, and I know that it's your account, it's your name.
Right. Got it.
Later, if you choose to get your legals, yeah, there'd be an LLC name that the securities lawyer would help you create and so on. But right now, it's all you.
Yep. All right. There we go. All right. Open new account. There we go. Contact name, email, joined, agreed initial deposit. So that sends them an invitation and
That's right.
they proceed. there.
Since your daughter is 2, you should use your own email. And
Mommy.
I mean, I've made her own.
okay, well, provided you can check that email, then
I did that so that when she's older, she'll just have everything and I don't have to think about transferring anything. Just
yeah, it works. I mean, my kids are 13, 9, and 8, and they all have their own email addresses, their own accounts. They manage them themselves. So it's never too young to start.
yeah, I just don't want to have to think about separating things later.
Mhm.
Okay. Agreed initial deposit. Interesting. I don't know. Whatever.
Any number you're comfortable with.
Yep. All right, there we go.
And that's how easy it is. Any person you know, name, email, agreed initial deposit. $1 is fine if you don't want to even think about a number, because that $1 is just a way to test out the ecosystem.
Okay, well, my new depositor here needs to go to the park. So we're
All
gonna-
righty. I'm going to stop the recording there. Wonderful note to end on.
See you, Austin.
See you.
Bye.